episode of the Jesse Hill Survival Channel. These are just going to be little tidbits, again, as episode 1 said, tidbits and little things that I thought that would be kind of useful for you guys. Welcome to my lair, the shed, which is ultimately unfinished. We're just going to be jumping right into it. Today's episode is potted meat or Spam. Now, a lot of people know that Spam is that mystery meat that some people like or some people absolutely hate. And if you're Hawaiian, it's a delicacy. But what are some of the things that you can do with Spam that can be quite useful for you in a survival situation? Well, let's go back to World War I and II. Back when the meat shortages and a lot of things were happening that were causing the men in the front lines to not have any kind of meat or any source of protein. If you know anything about war, war can take it right out of you. Mentally, physically, and just all sorts of spiritual kind of things. That being said, potted meat was definitely something that came to the rescue. I have a little thing of pork luncheon meat. Now, let's jump right into the history of it. Now, there wasn't a lot of processing back then for keeping products cool, so they would either preserve them with salts and chemicals and place them into a can, or they would just dry them out. Now, if you were lucky enough to get enough money, you could actually freeze it, but it just wasn't as common. So luncheon meat came to the rescue. Now, this highly salted, greasy product is very good sometimes, but it can be gross if it's prepared the wrong way. But what are some of the survival things that you can get from this? Now, other than ingesting this, because it's got a lot of sodium, a lot of fats, and a lot of things you can use to digest, and it would be good for you, if this is all you have, it could definitely help you out quite a bit. That being said, there are a lot of good things about luncheon meat, and a lot of positive things about this. For one, the easy open can. Now, the lid is, of course, razor sharp, and if you've ever opened one of these kind of cans, you've cut your finger open. But you can honestly use this as some sort of blade. Now, I know that it's just flimsy tin, but it can be used for a lot of purposes, such as scraping things, carving, or maybe even just, the other tool purposes. Like I said, if you have any comments about other things that I didn't list, again, leave it down in the comment section. But moving on. The meat itself is actually very greasy. So, not only can you eat it, but you can also use the fat as a burning agent. So if you take the grease from cooking this in, let's say, a little pot or a can of some sort, you take the grease and you can make a candle or some sort of light source. Or even take a toilet paper roll, like I showed you earlier, douse it in the grease and it burns really hot. That being said, the grease is definitely a useful thing. Also, you could use the meat as bait. If you have readily available food that's a lot more nutritious than this, you can use it as bait. By cutting up into little pieces and maybe using some sort of snare, you can use this. But I would recommend just eating it because you get a lot more out of it physically. But if you're a good trapper and you have a great amount of skill in that, this would definitely be something to consider because of the smell and the flavor and something the predators would probably like. That being said, the can. The can, of course, is definitely useful. Any survivalist will tell you a can is useful. It's not totally, not totally useless. So you can turn a can into anything from a stove to a pot to just about, anything like a water filter. So the can is important as well. Well, the fact that it's also, flat makes it easy to carry a bunch of these. While it can get heavy, I would recommend keeping the can around because you could boil water and drink it out just like the shape of a canteen. Or you could just use it as a carrying tool to carry, whatever have you, such as dry goods and that kind of thing if you clean it out. That being said, we've covered everything. We've covered the food itself and what it can do for you. We've covered what you can use it for. We've covered what the top of the can can be used for. We've covered what the fat can do for you. And we've covered what the can do for you. Well, guys, if there's any kind of thing that you guys that I wasn't able to list in this video that you could have an idea for, please feel free to leave it in the comment section below to help your fellow survivalist peers. I can't tell you everything in survival, and neither can you, but if you have a pearl of wisdom, be sure to share it. Well, guys, this was episode Spam, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by.